You're listening to BVRN, the Black Vault Radio Network. From the bizarre world of the paranormal to the sinister secrets of the U.S. government, the Black Vault has become known worldwide as the premier spot for anything and everything conspiracy. Now, join me, John Greenewald Jr., as we dive into the research together in hopes to decipher these mysteries. This is the Black Vault Radio. That's right, this is the Black Vault Radio. I am your host, John Greenewald Jr. Thank you so much for making the Black Vault Radio your podcast of choice. Hey, look, I'm excited. I don't know if you guys have been following what has been going on www.blackvaultradio.com. I know many of you are listening via that player, but now the Black Vault Radio is being picked up by cool radio networks such as the Anomaly Radio Network and the Paranormal Radio Network, and a couple other radio stations around the world, a new one in England. Details coming soon on that, but that just came about the last week. Well, since I started this, all you devoted listeners out there know, that have been following me for quite some time, know that it has been incredibly difficult for me to fall into that radio schedule where you guys knew that on Tuesday or Thursday or Sunday or whatever day that I chose to put up a show, that I could never fall into it. I could never deliver. I don't know why. I just had the worst luck for years, literally a couple years doing this. And I apologize for that because in the last couple of months, there have been a ton of changes on my end. Finally, I'm able to do this. Actually, I would say in the last year I've been able to do this. But my server capabilities, it was just maxing it out because there were so many of you devoted listeners. How cool is that? It's a great problem to have. But if I put up the amount of shows that I wanted to do, it would kill the server. So long, boring technical story short, thanks to you guys, I was able to upgrade the server, and now I have pretty much locked down a good schedule. It's been a little all over the map the last couple of weeks. However, I think I'm going to be settling in on every Tuesday and Thursday. A new Black Vault Radio episode will be delivered. I said it on the air. That means I actually have to deliver. So Tuesday and Thursday, I believe that's the schedule that I'm going to be setting in. Want to make sure that I can really, really deliver that before I start advertising it to the world. So I'll tell you guys, which is only half the world, so that's okay. But in addition to the Black Vault Radio, when I was able to expand the radio network, because years ago when I created BVRN, or the Black Vault Radio Network, my dream was to have a network of shows. Not only Black Vault Radio, hosted by myself, but a whole catalog of shows that you guys could download on demand. You know, because it's crazy. When you have a radio network, you've got pretty much two options. And the one that's out there right now that I see a lot, and this is just not in the paranormal world, but all over the place, is the radio networks. They just stream. You have a schedule during the day. If you're not available at that certain time, you really can't. There's no TiVo for podcasts yet, at least not that I know of. If you know of any, please write me, and I'll stand corrected. But there's really no TiVo for podcasts. And, you know, the problem with that is a lot of us, we're busy. We can't devote all that time to sit down at a certain time. So what I wanted to do was create a network of on-demand radio. You can download, this is episode number 40, 40 hours worth of the Black Vault Radio available to download. But also now a wide range of shows are available on BVRN, all on demand, just like I wanted, and it's now all available to you for free. And now I know that some, I was joking about the TiVo for podcasts. I know that some shows will archive their MP3 files, but a lot of times shows can't store more than maybe 5 or 10 or maybe the last 15 shows. And what I'm offering the hosts that are gracious enough to allow BVRN to syndicate their material, I'm offering that space for them to archive not 20, not 40, in some cases more than 100 hours of their archive, all for free, for you guys to download. And one of those guys that's cool enough to be broadcast on Black Vault Radio Network, Mr. Jeremiah Greer. He hosts Shadows in the Dark, which is now broadcast on www.blackvaultradio.com. You stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. There's cool music coming your way if you're listening on blackvaultradio.com. You may hear some commercials, but we'll be right back after this. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the Black Vault Radio. I am your host, John Greenewald Jr. Joining me on the phone, host of Shadows in the Dark, a radio show that is now syndicated and broadcast on BVRN, the Black Vault Radio Network, Mr. Jeremiah Greer. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and also wanted to say thank you because we are now syndicating your show, Shadows in the Dark, which is an excellent show. You've got a lot of good guests on there. I'm hosting a lot of your archive and soon to be the entire show archive that you have, so I'm looking forward to getting every show on, but tons of episodes to download already. And what's intriguing about you is you're not only just a radio host, you're actually out there in the field and doing investigations and very into this topic, which is always a plus. So let me pass it to you, Jeremiah. Tell me a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do.
All right. Well, yeah, just like you said, we we have a group, a paranormal research group, and that's really kind of where everything started. With the show, it ended up leading into Shadows in the Dark, and we do go out mainly investigating like ghosts and hauntings, and obviously that's because it's there's more out there than it's easier to investigate. Let's put it that way. Whereas you have a UFO sighting, it's pretty much it happens and it's gone, and it's a lot harder to find that as it is hauntings and ghosts and things along those lines. But about, I'd say, around 12, 13 years ago, really I had an experience about 14 years ago and really started getting into it about 12 years, about a couple years afterwards, in which I thought I seen a UFO. And that really kind of sparked my interest into the paranormal. And I'd always kind of been interested in history, and you definitely hear a lot of people who do paranormal research. They're kind of history buffs themselves. There's something about the history that ties into it. All the mysteries of things like the Mayans and the Egyptians and dinosaurs and things along that line seem to be some kind of segue to the paranormal for a lot of people. And like I said, I had my own experience where I thought I seen a UFO, and it just really amazed me. And a couple years afterwards, I really started digging into UFOs more than anything. And as it just kind of progressed, where I started getting into more and more aspects of the paranormal, which of course is a very broad topic itself.
Mm-hmm. So this one sighting is really kind of what sparked your interest in all of this.
Yes, exactly. And I'll briefly tell the story.
Yeah, so, please. That was my next question.
Yes, I usually get asked, what's the story? We had went down to Oak Island, not the famous Oak Island with the buried treasure that nobody can get to, but this is Oak Island, South Carolina, right up above Myrtle Beach. And we were, me and my friend, we were sitting inside watching a Man's Best Friend, the movie about the rabid dog or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And his parents, I went down with his family. There was about 12 people, and we had a beachside house. Everybody had pitched in and rented out for the week, and so his mother come walking in and was like, "You guys got to come out here and see this." And now his whole family, keep in mind, his whole family are big believers in UFOs, and especially his mother's just really dug deep down into it and researched it for a number of years. Well, so we went outside, and you had the little deck that you could stand out on, and we were all looking over the beach, and she said, "Well, there was some red lights dancing around the sky." She said, "But they're gone now. Let's just wait a minute and let's see if they come back." And sure enough, about 5-10 minutes or so passed, and one little red light popped back up, and it come down towards one of the pier. And of course, if you've ever been to the beach, and even on a good moonlit night, you can see a pier a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
So this red light came down towards the pier that we could see off in the distance, and it sat there for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then just shot back up and disappeared. And of course, myself, I was trying to rationalize everything. Say, okay, well, could have been this, could have been that. And what really topped it off was, maybe 5 minutes after, that red light done that, about, to the best of our count, without feeling we duplicated anything, about 15 jets or planes began circling the area, and circled for quite some time. And, of course, you got to ask yourself, okay, so you have the red light, and then the planes show up. Obviously not commercial airliners.
Mm-hmm.
These things were circling, obviously jets, so something happened there. And I think more than just some, weird meteor changing directions, if you want to call it that, which is impossible itself. So that's what really sparked my interest to actually see something like that take place.
Now, how old were you when this happened?
I was around